We begin with that breaking news. Japanese television running urgent warnings at this hour, reporting another missile launch from North Korea. Japanese television reporting the missile has passed over Japanese airspace. Several population centers have now been warned. This launch is yet another provocative move on the part of North Korea. ABC's David Curley is following late developments. He's live in Washington tonight. David, good evening.
Good evening, David. Very provocative. According to NHK, the Japanese broadcaster, this missile flew over the northern part of the country at 7:06 a.m. No word on what type of missile it was. The North Koreans did fire 2 ICBM missiles back in July, and a flurry of activity in just the past couple of weeks. On August 29th, a ballistic missile flying over Japan, the first one. September 3rd, that H-bomb test, the UN Security Council passing sanctions just 9 days later. And now today, the second missile to fly over Japan, according to NHK, but we do not know what kind of missile. No word from the Pentagon on this action by the North Koreans.
The Japanese government is saying it went over Japan into the Pacific. Let's go live now to senior foreign affairs correspondent Greg Palcott in Seoul, South Korea, right now.
From a variety of sources, it appears that this projectile, this missile launched from the area around Pyongyang, the capital of North Korea, just a little bit before 7 a.m. local time here in the Korean Peninsula. That would be about a half an hour ago. It then flew eastwards, and by all accounts, it crossed the Sea of Japan, and it crossed the Hokkaido Island, the northern island in the archipelago of Japan, and apparently went further through into the Pacific Ocean. Now, this is the second time that this sort of trajectory has occurred with missiles coming from North Korea in recent weeks. It has alarmed Japan. It has called individuals, citizens, to go to shelters. We have seen that happen before in the last blast. We do not know whether this is an intermediate blast, whether it is an intercontinental ballistic missile. There was some speculation that a flattened trajectory launch could be made from North Korea. Once again, it would have to fly over Japan to reach its goal. If it was this flattened trajectory launching of a missile, then it could go deeper into the Pacific. We're waiting on that now. Of course, all of this is happening while North Korea very busy with its own rhetoric, its own talking, not just about the United States, but in fact about Japan during the day. Let's take a listen to what's been said today.
Kim Jong-un's regime did launch more rhetoric in the wake of the latest UN sanctions. State media saying Pyongyang ought to use its nuclear weapons to reduce the U.S. to ashes and darkness, and U.S. ally Japan should be sunken into the sea. Japanese Prime Minister Abe, on a visit to India, stood his ground.
The whole of the international community must fully implement the recently adopted United Nations Security Council resolution and force North Korea to change its policy.
Secretary of State Tillerson in London, meeting with UK Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson and others, also promoted the UN resolution. Additionally, he called on North Korea ally China to do more.
I am hopeful that China, as a great country, a world power, will decide on their own and will take it upon themselves to use that very powerful tool of oil supply to persuade North Korea to reconsider its current path towards weapons development.
Back in Seoul, some are more pessimistic about the prospect of reining in the North Korean regime.
I don't think, unfortunately, there is any way to stop them now.
No way.
No way.
Leading North Korea analyst Andrei Lankov thinks that the North will resist sanctions and will only come to the negotiating table to freeze its nukes in exchange for concessions.
They want to get to the point when they have a sufficient number of the intercontinental ballistic missiles capable of destroying a sufficient number of the American cities.
Again, analyst Lankoff talking about North Korea building up an arsenal of intercontinental ballistic missiles that could hit the United States. We don't know exactly what this missile was that was launched from Pyongyang in the direction of Japan over that into the Pacific Ocean, but certainly it is a part of this ongoing, very active missile testing program that we have seen from North Korea, coupled with a test a short while ago of a nuclear device, and it is an arsenal that now is beginning to be reckoned with.